Because I mean, if I look around, like everyone could just be machines, but I just know I'm just able to feel it. I mean, everyone should be able to feel that they have a soul. I mean,
why? What is this feeling? I mean, because if you just tell me that the feeling is I feel conscious, that doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't have any explanatory power. It's just putting one label on something else.
Yeah.
What is this feeling that you have that makes you convinced that you have a soul?
Well, I can, I'm, reside basically within my body. I mean, it's really hard to explain, but like you just know that you're conscious. You feel you're more than just a collection of atoms. I mean, your brain, by science terms, is no more than a collection of atoms. So I mean, if we were just no more than a collection of atoms, we wouldn't be here. I mean, we would just be like machines wandering around. So I mean, you're essentially able to feel that there's something more. There's something more inside of you. Do you see that?
Why would you think we'd be just like machines running around if we were just a collection of atoms, which we are?
Because collections of atoms can be no more than a machine that like a computer.
Why? No, that's an assertion
why?
from you. You haven't demonstrated that. You're just saying it over and over again. A collection of atoms can be nothing more than a machine. Okay, well, I've already accepted your thing that we're biological machines. I just happen to say that while we may not have an explanation for consciousness, what you're labeling as consciousness is what this particular biological machine does. Okay,
how about if you look at like free will, like all the laws of physics and everything, if you have a specific start, the outcome is predetermined. But free will.
No, I have a physicist in the room who's violently shaking his head, but I'm not even going to bother with that because you called in to define God as a supernatural force that created us. And then you start arguing for a soul, and the best thing you can offer as evidence for the soul is the fact that you feel it, and yet when asked to describe, there's Mark, then asked to describe the feeling, you jump to free will. Are you going to acknowledge any points we've made? Are you going to concede the soul argument?
Well, I'm trying to relate, the free will is a central component of the soul.
Well, first of all, there are people who would say that we don't have free will.
I mean, you personally think that you can't make a decision? Well, you think you're perfectly governed by, just the way your brain is organized?
First of all,
it might be. That might be the case.
Yeah, that might be the case, but I didn't say it was me. We had a three-hour debate on the nonprofit summit, actually more than 3 hours, but the debate didn't take that long, on the subject of free will. Free will is not necessarily a resolved issue, but even granting your assessment, and I will, because I don't know what you mean by free will, because there are different definitions, but since you said you don't think you can make a decision, yeah, I think I make decisions all the time. So under that definition, I have free will, and I still don't see how you can get from there to a soul, because computers make decisions all the time.
Well, I mean, like free will, if you're incapable of deciding something, on your own, like, then you should feel your actions shouldn't be predetermined by the organization of the atoms in your body.
Who said they were?
I mean, well, science pretty much says that, like if you have like atoms in a certain arrangement, the laws of physics govern how they will act.
Actually, no. But even if that was the case, what we're talking about here, and it's possible, and Dennis and I have talked about this before, that what you would be labeling free will, and actually if you go read Daniel Dennett's book, Elbow Room, which is the Free Will and the Varieties of Free Will Worth Wanting, this idea of consciousness as an emergent property also extends to the idea that free will may or may not be an illusion. It's an illusion that we would have no way of discerning whether or not it's an illusion or not. But you have the perception of free will regardless. So, for example, if you take a deer and you put it in a 2x2 pen, you're imposing on its ability to move around. If you change that pen to be 100 acres, you're still imposing on it, just not as much. What if we make it 4 miles? What if we make it 5 miles? What if we make it landlocked? What if we make it earthbound? At what point are we restricting its freedom of action to such a degree that we're violating its free will? When would the thing know whether or not it's restricted? The fact that you're not able to actually identify the bounds of what is governing or isn't governing your decision-making process, what the limits are, is not a testament to what the limits are. It's a testament to your inability to know. I lost you, didn't I?
I mean, I don't know how you cannot tell that you do not have a soul.
I'm not saying I don't have a soul. I'm saying I don't believe I have a soul. I don't see any evidence that I have a soul. No one's given me a good reason to think I have a soul. Nobody's even defined soul to an extent that I find the concept comprehensible and useful.
Yeah, but someone can't explain to you what a soul is. You just know that you have a soul. It's not something someone can explain to you. I mean, like, if I kill you and replace you with the exact replica of you, the reason it's not you is because there's something more to you than the atoms in your body.
No. The reason it's not me is because it's a different set of atoms.
So what? It should be the exact same situation.
No. It's a copy. It is atoms arranged in an identical configuration. But it's different atoms. That's where your analogy fails.
They still do the same thing.
Okay. I got two pencils in my desk do the same thing. If they're both unsharpened the same length, they're indistinguishable. Are they the same thing?
Yeah, but, I mean, like, if you broke one and replaced it with the other, no one would care. The pencil wouldn't care.
You're right. The pencils wouldn't care. If I went in your wallet and took out $1 and replaced it with another $1 and you couldn't tell the difference, the net result is that nothing significant has changed. But the actual result is that something has changed. The particular specific atoms of the $1 that was in your wallet is now in mine, and the atoms of the $1 that was in my wallet is now yours. Just because that we signify that exchange as irrelevant and meaningless, that is us injecting our privileged perspective upon it. It is not an assessment of what actually transpired in reality. In reality, there was a change. Your ability to recognize that or not is irrelevant. Your shrugging it off as irrelevant is also irrelevant. A change occurred.
Yeah, but, I mean, atoms should be indistinguishable, so...
No, they're not. Wow. And we're running low on time, and there's other callers. Feel free to email us, Chris, or call back, or think about things and come up with a slightly different way to do it, because I don't see that you got anywhere near, and you're talking about big concepts like conscience and free will, and you're talking about them in terms that I really don't think are going to get you where you're going. But they're interesting subjects that I like to discuss, and others have too. And I definitely, there's some books, I could recommend, and I'm not trying to be condescending or pedantic, but I really do have to move on. So you'll have to call on another time, Chris. Thanks for calling.
Can I just say one more thing?
One more thing.
Well, I mean, like, if I could successfully prove the existence of the soul, that like a supernatural force that makes up our consciousness, like, that would be reasonable evidence of the existence of God.
No, it would be reasonable evidence to the existence of the soul.
I mean, if the soul exists, I mean, that's reasonable. It's not proof, but it suggests it, right?
Existence is not evidence of the cause of existence. It's just evidence that there may, in fact, be a cause. But first you're going to have to define soul before you can get there. That's where you get started. I do like the fact that you started off by defining God. Most people don't. So that earns you tons of points right off the bat. But I got to move on, Chris. Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
So if you clone yourself and then you have sex with yourself, is that incest or masturbation? I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Jen wins the show. That's the best comment ever. It's a good question. I'll be thinking about that for weeks. Feel free to email us, tv@atheist-community.org, with your answers to that poser. If you clone yourself and have sex with yourself, is it incest or masturbation? It's going to be different atoms, so I think I'd go with incest. Okay. I think masturbation includes the idea it's just me, and if I clone myself, that's me and my clone.
Yeah.
Me and my clone.
All right.